Hi everyone, this is Lean and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a fun, clean and simple birthday card using the Flamin Birthday and the birthday balloons stencil from Crafty Meraki, as well as the big balloon stencil from My Favorite Things. I started by die cutting an A2 size panel, and I took this big balloon stencil from My Favorite Things to help me create a smaller surface as my background. So you can also create a complete background using the amazing birthday balloons stencil from Crafty Meraki, but I love to just have a focal point on top of my panel, and therefore I just needed a smaller area which I'm creating with this balloon. If you don't have this balloon, it's available at Crafty Meraki, but you can also use a squared stencil or anything like that. I just thought it was nice to combine a balloon stencil with another balloon stencil. So, for the background, I'm just using this Distress Ink Cracked Pistachio. This is my favorite Distress Ink color. It's really vibrant, it's bright, but it's really light as well. Just perfect. And then once I had just the outline of that big balloon, I used the birthday balloon stencil from Crafty Meraki, added it underneath, and now I'm going to have a light fade of all of these balloons on top of this big one. So once I was happy with the blend, I could remove all of the stencils, and then you can see how fun this is just having these two combined. Next, I'm using these adorable images from the Flamin Birthday, which is an amazingly fun stamp set with dragons in it, and I just thought to feature this one. There are also a lot of punny sentiments. Today I will just combine two sentiments on this card because you can mix and match if you want to. So I stamped these images out on Transotype perfect coloring paper. This is a paper that I prefer doing Copic coloring on. It can handle quite a lot of layers, and it's a really bright end result when you're coloring with your Copics on top. Other alcohol markers work as well, of course. So I started with this really bright color that I find going really well with the Cracked Pistachio. So this is my teal blue kind of combination that I love using, is BG49, BG34 and BG11. And I'm just doing a bit of flicking. I am adding my shadows on the bottom of my image, and I'm also just checking where there are some overlapping items like the bow here and there. Aside from this color, I am also going to use yellow. I personally love combining this teal blue and the yellow together, but that you will see later on. For the gift, I will use yellow and teal, and I will use the same colors on the tiny presents as well, but I will do the reverse. So the bow will get the blue and the package will get the yellow. And then for this adorable dragon, I decided to go with a really soft yellow-red combination. That is yellow-red 16, 12 and then yellow 11. I tried it in the past. The yellow 11 sometimes is a bit of work to get the transition between the yellow-red and yellow, but it's worth it. I find it's a really adorable combination. It's not in your face, but today's card is really bright and cheerful, and so this combination worked really well in my opinion. So I'm just using a bit of tip to tip. This is a method that can help you if you are struggling with a mid-tone that you might not have. So definitely try to just use the tip of the darker marker, pick up that color with the lighter one, and try to get that transition yourself. This is also a way to really extend your markers without having to purchase all of them at once. And then another technique that I'm doing here to get the transition is to do some flicking, which is also a really great technique if you are struggling getting a specific transition between several markers. So now onto my yellow combination. It's a really warm yellow with quite a bit of a difference between the darkest and the lightest marker in this combination. So I'm using 4. I'm using yellow 38, yellow 19, yellow 13 and yellow 11. If you want to revisit the color combinations that I'm using today, there is always a link towards my blog post where I have everything listed for each part of the images that I'm coloring. That can be really easy for reference. Now, whenever I'm doing some Copic coloring and I don't know how far I can go with the amount of shadowing or the darkest marker, I tend to go really softly in the beginning, and then once I have all of the layers done, I can see whether I can add a bit more of that darker marker or a bit further into that image, and that's how I build up my images. It's always easy to add color. It's harder to get rid of dark colors if you add it too much. So here again, I'm using the same type of shadowing as I did on the present itself. So just on the bottom, and I'm working my way upwards towards my lightest markers. Now onto the tiny presents. Therefore, as I said, I'm going to use the same markers as before, but I'm just going to turn what I am coloring with teal and what I'm coloring with yellow. So it's the bow that is now in teal, and then the presents will be yellow. So really fun. It's something that you can do. You can also keep it the same, or if you want to have a really colorful card, you can definitely add rainbow colors everywhere if you want to. It's really cute as well. But you know me, clean and simple as much as possible. So therefore, I tend to reuse my colors wherever I can. And it's also a really easy way to have everything matching with each other, which is not always that easy to do when you are having a lot of colors on your card. So I'm just working my way as previously through my images. If I go outside the lines, my colorless blender is there to help me. I use it every time when I'm coloring with my Copic markers. Just if you have a tiny boo-boo, you can just erase it kind of with that marker. So that's a really handy one to have on hand. So here again, same way of shadowing as I did on the big present, just the darkest colors on the bottom and then the lightest on the top. And then I go a second layer because I find for me that it helps with that transition that I want to get. So that's why I just keep going over it. And if 2 layers aren't enough, then I just go over it, a third one, a fourth one, just like that. So next up, with the coloring done, I have to fussy cut these images. There are matching dies and I really recommend them. I personally am not a really good fussy cutter, but desperate times, if you don't have matching dies, that's always an option. But it's just outside of my comfort, so I'm just showing a tiny bit of the fussy cutting and then I'm skipping through towards the stamping of the sentiment. So as I said, I'm going to use 2 sentiments. You can mix and match them if you want to. I love funny sentiments, and blow the lid off, I just thought it was really fun since he's like peeking and the lid is coming off the present. And then I just added "It's your birthday." You don't have to add 2 sentiments, but it can be really fun if you have this space and if it works together. That's really fun. Now, of course, I'm using some thin foam squares. I love a little bit of dimension, not too much, but just a tiny bit. And these thin foam squares are just perfect to get the dimension that I love. And then I'm adding the other ones as well, but I'm just making sure that wherever I have an overlap with the other images, that I'm not adding any thin foam squares there, so that everything is smoothly in front and aside each other. And there we are, we have 3 images, which is always great, and we have a bit of an offset positioning. So now I'm adhering my panel on top of a card base, and then we are going to add these final details to the card. Now, first of all, it's always fun to add a bit of embellishments wherever you have the space for it, and Crafty Meraki has these incredible Meraki sparkles that I truly adore. The ones that I am using today are the Enchanted Forest Meraki sparkles. They were newly released for their birthday release, but the first celebration release, and I just adore these. They are really subtle. It's not exactly gold, but there is a bit of gold in it, and it works great with the yellow in my opinion. So I just laid them out, and once I was happy with placement, I adhered them using some liquid glue. But that will not be all. It's a birthday card, so we can go all out going big. So I'm also going to add some Stickles, going to add some Stardust, Stickles, and then some glossy accents. So the Stardust is going on top of the bow. It's a really fun way to just let it shine a bit more. I'm not completely covering it, but just some parts of the bow. And then I also decided to do some glossy accents, but those I'm adding to the eyes of the dragon, which is a really fun thing. If you have images with some bigger eyes where you really have some area to add glossy accents, I find that it really adds something. It's that shimmer when you tilt the card. It's just a cuteness overall. So I just added that, and then this card is completely finished. A clean and simple card. There is a bit going on, but I really have that focus since I added the stencils together in the center of my card with these two sentiments. I hope that you enjoyed this video and of course that you got inspired. If you did, you can always give this one a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it. I want to thank you all for stopping by, and I wish you all an incredible day, and I'll be back soon with some new Crafty Meraki inspiration. Bye!